Let's talk void relics. If you play Warframe, you have some. Many probably. These little rocks are prime part loot boxes, wrapped up in RNG. I'm going to peel back the math and show you how you can get the most from the relics you have. I'm the Engineer, let's solve a practical problem. There's quite a bit of probability math involved in relics, which I'll keep to an interesting but not overwhelming level in this video. If you'd like to see more about how these details are all calculated, the fuller math will be made available to Patreon supporters at patreon.com/theengineer. I upload video math and behind the scenes details there the Monday after a video goes live. So if you want to know more on this topic, swing by, grab a proper cuppa, and dig into the growing catalogue of extras I've shared there. For now though, on to the relics. I'll start with the basics. Void relics have common, uncommon, and rare rewards, with the actual drop chances of each tier varying depending on the refinement of the void relic. So for example, an unrefined void relic, also known as intact, has a 76% chance of being a common item, 22% chance of uncommon, and 2% chance of rare. Common and uncommon tiers have multiple rewards, so the percentage is split equally between the 2 or 3 in the tier. So for example, each uncommon item in an intact relic has an 11% chance of being selected when opened. Prime parts all have a ducat value too. Usually speaking, a common item is worth 15 ducats, uncommon worth 45, and rares are worth 100 ducats. Refining a relic increases the chance of getting a more valuable item, so that improves your average output. Take a typical relic then. That's all 3 commons are worth 15 ducats, 2 uncommons are worth 45 ducats, and the solitary rare worth 100 ducats. If you open this ideal relic on your own, the average amount of ducats your reward will be worth is 23.3. And as you refine it, you increase the average return all the way up to 35.5 as you can see here, due to the effect of the changing probabilities. However, opening a relic on your own is pretty much the worst way to open relics. When you run in a group, everyone's reward from their relic is offered to the whole group, and everyone can pick whichever reward they like. While you may end up rolling a common reward, someone else in the group may roll an uncommon or rare reward, which you can take instead of your relic's reward. In this way, a group run seriously pushes up the average return. For a group of 4 players using an intact and typical relic, the average output is 39.3 ducats, well above the return of even a radiant relic when you do a solo run. If everyone in the squad brings an upgraded relic, the average return rises all the way to 62 ducats per run. Now of course, neither you nor any other player is going to be able to bring an upgraded relic to every single fisher. I ran a few dozen public missions to see what relic types random players were bringing, and as it turns out, around 1/3 of the relics other people brought were radiant relics. A mission with 3 intact relics and 1 radiant relic will give an average output of 46.8 ducats, again considering just typical relics. So in such a group, which is very common in public fishers, there's nearly an 8 in 10 chance that you'll be able to walk away with an uncommon or better item each run. That sure beats an only 5 in 10 chance if you're just running a radiant relic on your own. Running in groups being better is pretty common knowledge at this stage of the game, even if you didn't really know how much better. So let's look at some of the more curious details. If you're farming void fishers for ducats only, you may find yourself filling up to your void trace maximum. It seems obvious that using your void traces on the relics you're opening would lead to more value on average, and that's correct. How you apply those void traces doesn't really matter in terms of the average ducat gain though. Assuming for a moment your random teammates only bring intact relics each run, how you choose to use up your void traces over multiple runs has very limited effect. You could take 100 void traces and turn 4 relics all into exceptional, or you could turn just 2 of them into flawless and keep 2 relics intact. Or you could make 1 single relic radiant and run the other 3 as intact. Regardless of which of those 3 choices you make, your 100 void traces over the next 4 relic runs will average out to around 7 to 8 more ducats than if you ran with just intact relics, going up from 157 ducats on average to around 165. It's a very small increase, and I personally wouldn't recommend doing this. Use those traces instead to refine specific relics, such as when hunting for a particular item or for vaulted relics. A much more impactful choice you can make when farming for ducats is the actual relic itself you choose to bring. Recall I talked about the standard relic. Well, here's every relic currently on the drop tables at the time of recording this video. No vaulted ones, just the ones you can farm right now. Of these 37 relics, these 4 of them are typical. Just 4. A full 28 of these relics include a former blueprint, which is, well, not a source of ducats, although still an important reward of course. And some 16 relics include items with non-standard ducat values. When I say non-standard, this is where an available item has been assigned to more than one rarity over time. An item that has been both common and uncommon is worth 25 ducats, and an item that has been both uncommon and rare is worth 65 ducats. Sometimes this is an upgrade for a relic, and sometimes it's a downgrade. Now, one person bringing a relic with a higher value common or uncommon item doesn't make a large difference to the average reward of the squad. If all 4 people in the squad bring a relic with an upgraded common, it has a very mild overall effect. However, if everyone in the squad has an upgraded uncommon in their relic, that makes a more substantial difference, about the same as having every relic upgraded by 1 tier. Now, that sounds nice, but of the current relic selection, the only one with this feature is the Axie S3, an honourable mention to the Neo R1, and both of these have rewards substantially more valuable than the mere ducat prices. So you're not realistically going to be making that choice all that often. Instead, a much more common and impactful choice is around the presence of former blueprints. Former blueprints cannot be traded in for ducats, so having one come up as a reward choice is a lost opportunity to select something better. Having a relic which has a common former blueprint thankfully has very limited impact. With a whole squad of people bringing relics where all of those relics have a common former blueprint in their drop table, there will be at most a 0.2% reduction in the average ducat payout, which honestly doesn't even qualify as an issue. However, if you have an uncommon slot taken up by a former blueprint, that's taking away one of the 2 more valuable slots in the relics drop table. A 4-man squad with relics with all uncommon formers in them will make on average 27% fewer ducats per run intact, all the way up to 13% fewer if done all radiant. So if you want to maximise your ducats, avoid running a relic with an uncommon former. Even if you do want the former, you're more likely to get it from a common slot drop, which also doesn't hurt your teammates' options as much. And this is only counting ducat value. Certain items are worth more platinum than is standard for their rarity, owing to other factors, so uncommon former relics can still be desirable for other reasons. In the broader sense, it's better to avoid using those if you can. Okay, so that about wraps up when it comes to ducat farming. Let's flip over to the other side of farming relics. Rather than farming for general loot to sell, as ducats or for plat, what about when you're farming for a specific reward from a given relic? If you are looking for a specific common reward, there's no point refining the relic as that just reduces your odds of getting it. As a result, I can very simply show how many of those relics you'll need to open to have a given chance of actually getting the item you're looking for. Now you can open these relics yourself, or you and your fellow squad mates can open them together to reduce the number of runs you need. The result is the same number of relics opened. 1 in 4 people will get a desired common item from the very first relic opened up, and most people can get it within 2 to 3 relics. It's still RNG with no built-in pity system, so some people may still need a sizable number of relics to get that desired item. In that time, the other rewards accumulated will almost certainly allow you to just buy what you need instead. Now if you're looking for a specific uncommon reward, things get a little bit more interesting. Refining the relic will make the reward you want drop more frequently, and so we get this array of average numbers of relics needed for a given amount of luck. Very noticeably, the number of relics needed does not drop all that much, going from flawless to radiant. As it so happens, when you're trying to get a specific uncommon part and upgrade your relic to flawless, you will on average save 1 relic for every 83 void traces spent refining the relics you're using, regardless of your overall luck. If instead you are refining your relics to radiant, it takes on average 109 void traces to need 1 less relic opened up. The simple truth here then is that if you're richer in the specific relic than you are in void traces, it's better to refine only to flawless twice as often than it is to refine to radiant. Alternatively, you could spend more time getting more traces and then go to radiant, especially if you have a lower stock of the specific relic you're opening, but that comes at a cost of noticeably higher grind time to get those extra void traces. As for rare rewards, here's how many relics you'll need for a specific refinement to have a given chance of getting the rare item you're looking for. No matter how you refine the relic, every 24 void traces invested is, on average, 1 relic less you'll need to run before you'll get the rare reward you're looking for, regardless of your luck. So given that, and given how much easier it is to get 24 void traces versus a specific relic, it's best to just go all in on Radiance for rare items. Every time, no questions asked. Alright, so let's recap. Running a Void Fisher in a group with all intact relics is more valuable than running a Radiant relic solo. Add on the fact that most public missions have at least one person with a Radiant relic anyway, and there's almost no reason to run solo at all. In terms of optimizing your void trace usage for ducat purposes, every strategy of spending the traces is so close to equal as to not really matter. If anything, you're probably better off investing the traces into relics which are harder to acquire, such as either the current rotation of unvaulted relics, which right now is Rhino and Nyx, or the Railjack specific relics. Instead, the more impactful decision you can make is to try and avoid bringing a relic with an uncommon slot taken up by a former blueprint. If you're farming for a specific common item, aside from finding other players opening the same relic, the only thing you can do is to just not refine it. You'll have what you need soon enough. For an uncommon reward, refine to Flawless if you're shorter on void traces than relics, or refine to Radiant if you have abundant supplies of void traces for very few relics. As for a rare reward, always refine to Radiant. The very best option will be to run in a rad party of players doing exactly the same. Running in a rad party, the majority of people will get the desired rare item in just 2 runs of a full squad. And there you have it, folks. I hope this gives you a better understanding of the way relic chances work and how you can make them work in your favour. If you have found this video helpful, make sure to give it a like and subscribe to catch more as it goes live. If you haven't already, make sure you also check out the Twitch channel, that's twitch.tv/thekengineer, for live gameplay and problem solving too. That's all for now though, so as always, be efficient, get primes, and fight well, Tenno.